this on Twitter. So this is verbatim Ryvirath's fault list. So you might remember from last week, I didn't actually play it, but I went over Cataclysmic Fault deck. So this is Ryvirath's take on the archetype. Basically, the core idea is you play 3 Fault, because you get to make lots of dervishes, and 3 Ray, which lets you make dervishes straight away. So you get to, on 6 mana, Fault plus Ray, make a bunch of dudes, you get a huge amount of tempo to offset the turn you spend casting Cataclysmic Fault. And the rest of the deck is built around that. So my version had, it has a Lady Lock in it, and I've managed to sneak one in here, because I didn't own a third Khanuum-Ka. It has a bit more, I have like Portal Guardians and things, like a bit more mid-game. This version eschews all of that, but it plays more neutral, it plays neutral 4-drops that help the deck's game plan. So this one has more draw, in the form of Spelljammers, and because of that, it's able to play Blood Tier Alchemist, which actually really helps, because I've found myself coming up against artifacts and being irritated by them quite a lot, and things like Ragnora Eggs are a bit of a difficulty for my version. Scorn, I'm not convinced by yet, but I've played a few games of this just while warming up, and it's pulling its weight so far, actually. I guess people aren't expecting it right now, maybe they're not playing around it, but like there was a turn where my opponent had 2 2-1s and a 4-3 to my 2-2, and I had this in hand. It's like, I win now. Right now I'm having a lot of fun with Maeve. Yeah, I haven't actually played Maeve since the buffs. I should, because I'm like Maeve's biggest fan. But now that I'm like such a deck hipster, like now that she's popular, I'm like, everyone else is doing it. But I think certainly playing Trial Maeve would get old quite quickly. And playing like the Lurking Fear deck doesn't seem very good, but maybe I should experiment with that and try and make it work at some point. Hey, Tony Camel G, thanks for joining. Fault is great. Yes, I fully agree. This deck feels very strong. So this is, sorry, I said earlier this is card for card Ryvirath version. It's not exactly. There's one difference, but so we've got Ray, 3 Blood Tier Alchemist for early tempo, pinging, removal, 2 Science First Wish, just as cantrips consistency, 3 Heralds for I like the little bit of extra healing. That's something I missed in my version. 3 Celebrants, 3 Dream Shapers, 3 Golden Metallurgist. This is kind of the point. So this gives us a solid early game that puts bodies on the board at a rate of knots, while also replacing themselves and digging through to our later pieces. Celebrant also lets us ramp. Tempo Lurking Fear is actually a good deck. I would love to see that happen. If you've got a list, actually, I'll be up for trying it this evening. Hey, Mijik, thanks for joining. Yeah, I used to play Lurking Fear as like a tempo-y mid-range deck. It wasn't as fast as a proper tempo deck, but the idea would be you'd have like a turn where you played Reaper of Nine Moons and Vorpal Reaver at the same time, and it would be sweet. And you would be very happy. I don't know if it needs to be Maeve though. Like, she goes well with some of the Dying Wish minions, especially the cheap ones, because you get to play like Azul and Shaman for full effect. But Lilith making extra dudes that gives you Darkfire Sacrifice fodder. I guess maybe you don't need Darkfire Sacrifice if you already have the 6 Lurking Fear effects, but I don't know. I think I'll have to try both, I guess. Going back to this, we have 1 Lady Lock. I put this in because I love the card, but I was missing a Khanuum-Ka. I didn't want to craft it just yet, even though it's my spoiler card, and I probably should. Alpha Sentry posted a list on YouTube, no Vorpal. See, I think, just from my experiences before, like, the whole reason I wanted to play that deck was Vorpal Reaver. Playing discounted Vorpal Reavers is amazing. Hey, Yoshi Games, thanks for joining. Like, I guess if you're playing nothing but, like, your curve stops at 4 and you play Rite of the Undervault, that could work. And you're playing, you know, Deoltes and Desolator and, like, I guess maybe Nakamata. Well, that card's not very strong. It seems okay in the deck, but it's just a bit slow. Yeah, we have 2 Blistering Scorns, which, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not massively convinced by this card, but so far it seems to be pulling its weight. I mean, Scorn is so rarely bad that that's not a huge surprise, but still. 3 Spelljammer for the extra card draw. I don't know if 3 copies is necessary. I actually ended up cutting them from my other list because they were a bit clunky, but in Ryv's version the curve is slightly lower. We've got those blood tears in, so that they actually help quite a bit. 3 Blood of Air and 3 Sandsword Reader. These will not be unfamiliar inclusions in a Vitruvian deck. 2 Khanuum-Ka. So Ryvirath's original version has 3. I have 2 and 1 Lady Lock because I'm not committing to crafting it just yet. Khanuum-Ka is sweet. I have only cast it once so far in a few games. Like sometimes it's a bit awkward. If you're in the mid game, you don't have any dervishes in play. It doesn't really do anything. This deck doesn't have any obelisks in, so it basically only works with Fault. Or really late game if you've got a couple of like Bloodborne spell dervishes floating around. If you want to see the deck, I can post either the YouTube video or the deck list. Yeah, if you could post the deck list, that'd be amazing if you've got it handy. I'd be interested in seeing that. 3 Fault, obviously that's kind of the build around, and 2 EMP, which yeah, is probably useful. Again, I'm not massively convinced by this yet, but I haven't actually cast it yet. I keep replacing it because it's like 7 mana. I think this card is good. I did lose to a Titan deck with my version the other day. I guess it would have been useful against that. This deck in general seems to have a much stronger matchup against people playing artifacts, which is nice. Those are maybe more common than I give it credit for.